All right, we want to talk about matrices today. So I always think of that RC Cola. You know, it's sort of a third type cola behind Pepsi and Coke, and it's called RC for Royal Crown. Now, why do I think of RC? Well, also like a spreadsheet. On a spreadsheet, you have these rows right here going across row one, row two, and so forth. And then you have these columns. So rows, columns. That helps me when we start looking at matrices. And we want to know, like, what are the dimensions of these matrices? So this guy right here, matrix A. Matrix A, how many rows does it have? Well, it has one row and how many columns? 1, 2, 3. So it's a 1 by 3. On B, I have no clue what that is. But anyway, it has how many rows? 1, 2, 3. So this is a 3 by how many columns? 1 column. So it's a 3 by 1. You will see me when I deal with these all the time. If I'm talking about the dimensions of it, I'm always going, okay, how many, what does it have? Okay, it has 2 rows by how many columns? You're going to see me do that, okay? Because I always am just thinking like RC Cola, rows by columns, rows by columns. So let's say we have this. And again, I have no idea why when I put it in PDF, I have these little markings here. But anyway, the matrix, this guy should not be in there, nor should that fella. So if we want to add a bunch of matrices, okay, adding is super simple. This is a 2 by 2 plus a 2 by 2. Well, it's going to be what you think. That plus that, 10. And then we would have this guy right here plus this guy right here. The upper right by the upper right adds to 8. And then we'll finish out. It's easy enough. 12 and 1's 13. And then 10 and the negative 2 is not negative. How's that for an 8? 8. Okay. So adding matrices is simple. Now we also sometimes multiply by a number on the outside. Well, you're just distributing the 3 through. So that's going to be 24, 12, 36, and 30. It's that simple. Here's where the challenging part comes when we are multiplying matrices. And all we got to remember is just like rows, columns, it's going to be the first row of the first matrix times the first column of the other matrix. So I'm going to multiply this first row times this first column is what I'm going to do. So let's watch and see what happens. So how am I going to do that? Well, the 3 is going to be multiplied by the 2. And then we're going to add to it the 5 times that 3. Now I'm going to continue with this pattern. First row times the next column. First row times the third column. First row times the fourth, times the fifth, times the sixth column. I keep going until I'm out of columns. Well, do we have another column? Yes. So we're going to go first row times the next column. So that's going to be 3 times the 4 plus 5 times the negative 2. Now, I don't have another column, so I can't do first row times the next column because it doesn't exist. So now I'm going to have to start over. I'm going to have to go, okay, it's the now next row back times the first column. So a 1 times the 2 plus a 10 times the 3. And then finally, let's move this. It's going to be that first row, the second row times the final column. So 1 times the 4 plus 10 times the negative 2. And then all we're going to do is clean this up. 3 times 2, 6 plus 15 is what? 21. Let's give us a little space here. So I get 21, right? Now what about this? 3 times 4 is 12. 12 plus negative 10 is 2. Then I come here, 1 times 2 is 2 plus 30, 32. And finally the red, 4 plus negative 20, negative 16. That's what happens when I multiply that 2 by 2 matrix by the other 2 by 2 matrix. Okay, it's just a pattern. First row times first column. First row times the next column. First row, keep going. Once you're out, you then go second row times first column. Second row times the next column. Second row, keep going. And then we go third column. That's how it works. Now you're just going to have to look this over again and again to make sure it makes sense. It's just a pattern. Now, can we do this one? Well, if I try this one, notice what happens is I do first row times first column. So what are you going to do? 8 times 1 plus 4 times there's nothing there. That right there tells you that, hey, you can't multiply these. They will not multiply together. You can't do it. Now, here's an easy way to know. This first matrix is a 2 by 2 matrix. So it's a 2 by 2, and we're multiplying it by what's this? This is one row by how many columns? 3 columns. These inner numbers right here, and I should have written a times there. Those inner numbers don't match. If they don't match, you can't multiply the matrix. The matrices will not multiply if those numbers are not identical. They must be exactly the same. And like I said, you would quickly realize when you tried going 8 times 4 times 1, you'd be, wait, something's not working here. So those will not multiply. Well, let's look at the next example. Well, what about here? Well, let's see. I have a 2 by 2 times a what? 2 by 1. Are these inner numbers matching? Yes, that means those matrices can be multiplied together. And here's the thing. You're going to get an answer of a 2 by 1. The outside numbers will tell you what you get. Let's go ahead and do this one very quickly. Be our final bit here. So I do first row times first column. So I got 8 times the 2 plus 4 times the 3. Then I'm going to do first row times the next column. Oh, there isn't one. So I move on. Second row times first column. So 12 times 2 plus 10 times 3. And we're done. And let's see what our answer is. 16 and 12, 28, 24 and 30, 54. There's our answer. Notice our answer is how many rows? 2. How many columns? 1. And notice there's your 2 by 1 right here, as it said our answer would be. There we have it, dealing with matrices.